what if I told you that the simple web address you type into your browser could be as valuable as a piece of prime real estate? Seriously? Today we're exploring the world of domain names, the digital property that's creating a whole new generation of investors. Let's dive right in. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? We're not talking about some complicated bit of code. We're talking about owning a unique piece of digital territory. You got to think of it like owning a corner lot in a city that's still being built. The idea is timeless. The best spots go first, and their value, well, it just keeps on growing. All right, here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll kick things off by comparing digital to physical property. Then, we'll define what actually makes the domain valuable. From there, we'll peek inside the investor's playbook, talk about the risks, and wrap up with what this all means for you. So, to really get a handle on the opportunity here, we first need to compare this new digital frontier to the one we all know and understand, physical property. And trust me, the differences are, well, they're pretty huge. And this is where the game just completely flips on its head. Physical real estate, on the left here, is so heavy with costs. You've got a massive down payment, taxes, upkeep. But now, look at the right. Digital property is incredibly light. I mean, for the cost of a few coffees a year, you can own a piece of the internet. The barrier to entry, it's practically gone. Okay, so it's super easy to get in, but what are we actually buying here? Let's get a really clear definition of digital real estate for our purposes. It's really just the human-friendly address for a website. See, instead of you having to type in a long string of numbers, that's called an IP address, you just type a memorable name. That name is the domain. And the fact that it's one of a kind is exactly what gives it value. A great domain name is like having a storefront on the busiest street in the entire world. It doesn't just give you an address, it gives you automatic foot traffic. People can find it naturally. It has this built-in brand authority, and it's a piece of digital land that none of your competitors can ever own. But just like in real estate, not all properties are created equal. So how do you, as an investor, spot the difference between a digital mansion and, say, a digital dead end? Let's break down the anatomy of what makes a domain name truly valuable. The value really boils down to a few key things. The most obvious one is being short and memorable, something that's easy to say and impossible to misspell. Then you've got these category killers, like Hotels.com, which basically own an entire industry's search term. But the real art, the real secret sauce, is in spotting future trends, getting a name tied to new tech before it goes mainstream. That's where the real money is made. All right, so let's say you found a domain that looks promising. What now? Let's open up the investor's playbook and look at the 3 main strategies for turning that digital asset into a real profit. Look, step 1 is always prediction. You're basically betting on a future need. Now, the simplest play is to buy and hold. Just treat it like a long-term investment and wait. But if you want to be more proactive, there's the build and sell strategy. By putting up even a basic landing page, you're proving that the domain has commercial potential, and that can dramatically boost its value when it's time to sell. Now, it's really easy to get carried away with all the talk of huge returns, but we need a little reality check here. Because for every big, splashy sale you hear about, there are thousands and thousands of domains that go absolutely nowhere. This is a game of patience, my friends, not a lottery ticket. And here it is, the hard truth. The market is just flooded. For every gem, there are thousands of duds. The vast, vast majority of registered domains never sell for a profit. They just sit there, costing you a small renewal fee each year, running on the hope that maybe one day a buyer will magically appear. So yeah, the yearly cost is tiny, often just $10. But don't let that number fool you. The true cost here isn't measured in dollars, it's measured in years. Your real investment is the patience to hold on, the foresight to predict what's next, and the research to know you're betting on the right horse in the first place. So if it's such a patient game and there's no guarantee of a payoff, why even bother, right? Well, because when you zoom out, you start to see that these digital assets can play a really unique role in a modern investment strategy. A modern portfolio isn't just about stocks and bonds anymore. It's all about diversification. And as this chart kind of shows, having even a small piece dedicated to digital assets like domains can be a really powerful hedge. Think about it. Their value isn't tied to the daily ups and downs of the stock market. A great domain name is valuable whether the S&P 500 is up or down. That's a different kind of stability. At the end of the day, it all boils down to this one timeless investment principle. Own things that are scarce, desirable, and useful. A premium domain name checks all three boxes. There's only one cars.com. That's scarcity. Everyone in that industry wants it. That's desirability. And it's the perfect brand for an online car marketplace. That is utility. As our world gets more and more digital, owning these key pieces of internet infrastructure becomes a seriously powerful move. So, we'll just leave you with this thought. Every single day, more of our world is being built on the foundation of the internet. And the prime real estate of that new world, those memorable, meaningful names, is being claimed right now. The only question left is, what digital ground will you claim?